Here's the thing about storytelling. You never really know when a character stops being entertainment and starts becoming someone who can actually help others, give them a voice, or even save a life. Hey everyone, it's Evelyn, and today on Reppin, I am really excited because I'm going to be talking with actor Gia Kim. Gia plays Yuri Han on Netflix's huge hit, XO Kitty. If you've watched the show, you know Yuri, the confident, stylish queen bee who seems to have it all figured out. Yuri is navigating identity, pressure, and family expectations, and Yuri is one of the few openly gay characters at the center of a global teen series. The show is set at an international school in Seoul, where students from all over the world are figuring out friendship, love, identity, and who they want to be. In an interesting way, that world isn't so different from Gia's own. Gia grew up moving between international schools, constantly adapting to new cultures and environments. The difference is, while Yuri walks into every room owning it, Gia had to find that confidence for herself. Gia also shares a very painful experience, one that could have broken her. She's going to tell you what she learned from it and how that experience actually gave her a deeper sense of her own power. So please meet this wonderfully talented actor. Here's Gia Kim.
During this whole phase in LA, I also went through one of the most traumatic things that happened in my adult life, which was and I don't know if I've ever talked about this in any interview.
Rough rugged. Represent NY, hold it down for my peeps. New York. We rep the hardest. Hardcore. Nobody harder. Let them know. That's the way we rock it. Show me what you got.
Gia, how are you?
I am great, thank you. It's been a chaotic morning, but we are here. I'm really happy. I've been looking forward to just chatting with you. And as you said, this is not an interview, it's a conversation. So I was like, oh, actually, even just thinking about it like that puts me more at ease. So thank you for that.
Oh my God, I am really, really excited to have you on as a guest for so many reasons. First and foremost, congratulations on XO Kitty. This is season 3. This is exciting. Now, I've been in television for quite a long time. I know it is rare to have that space to be able to flesh out a character, have a story arc where you could sink your teeth in. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like for you to have these multiple seasons, to really have a larger canvas to develop this character, Yuri Han?
Well, you know what? I love this question. First of all, I also want to give a shout out to this XO Kitty shirt that I'm wearing because my brother made this. Well, he kind of got his friend to make it, design it for everyone and gave it. So I just wanted to wear this for this interview.
Sweet.
Yuri's character, I loved. It was such a big challenge for me, honestly, because in season 1, one of the biggest things I struggled with, aside from impostor syndrome, which already is a big enough of a hurdle. I don't think I ever got over the imposter syndrome but then maybe I had to once I was like, actually, you know what? That's not even the issue right now. The point is you got the job and now you need to do this character. How are you going to do that? So I think the bigger homework came when I was trying to embody this character. And at first, I think I was kind of overwhelmed with the differences that I saw in our characters first, as in she on paper is described as this queen bee of this high school who is from a Tibar family, who is in the public eye and has all these followers on social media and is a cool girl. And I was not that girl in high school. So I was immediately a bit like, oh my God, how do I even approach this person? Because obviously when I'm playing a high schooler, I'm going to refer back to my own high school and,
Sure.
the life that she has, aside from the fact that we both go to international schools, I couldn't find anything else in common aside from that. So I was kind of like thinking about the differences first, but then I was like, okay, let's narrow it down to who she is as a human being and who she is at her core. And once I started doing that, I found the essence of us connected, and we are both just girls who wanted to be loved and seen for who we are fully, especially by those we love. And sometimes that's the hardest, ironically, right? Is to fully just be accepted for who you are, especially by your mother. I feel like the mother-daughter relationship is such a unique experience as a woman. For a lot of daughters that I know who are my friends, I also know that it's very different from, a son-mother relationship. Yeah, all of that, honestly. And I found a lot of common things with her, actually, once I started to look past all of the exterior, like external, superficial things that I saw as differences to us. We were very similar in that regard. And once I got through the biggest hurdle of season 1, I obviously found a little more confidence going into 2 and 3. And you know what? Something that I told myself during season 1 was, I was like, you know what? It's okay that I don't have everything about her figured out, because she's also trying to figure herself out. So let us both be confused in this journey together. Let's use this confusion. So that was kind of my approach. Yeah.
It's all about being human.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We're all just trying to figure it out. She's such a great character. She's probably one of my favorite characters, and she is so complicated and nuanced, and I think you play her beautifully.
Thank you.
She definitely has all of these avenues. One of it is obviously her sexual identity, and I think as a character, I love that it's not the headline of the show. I love that the series has such a diverse cast. I love that this series is about friendship and love and support. In terms of you playing this character, again, you play her beautifully because she is so nuanced. What kind of feedback have you been getting from audiences? I'll paraphrase something you said, I think, in a previous interview. You said that, playing a character like this is one of the reasons why you love being an actor. What kind of experiences have you personally had that said, this role that you're playing as Yuri, I think, has the potential to actually help somebody find their voice, feel accepted? From your experiences, can you share some of those powerful moments?
Yes, so I've definitely had the immense pleasure, and honestly, this is not even hyperbole when I say this. I think the gem of my work, and for me, that means fulfillment in what I do, which means I have a positive impact in someone's life, on someone's life. And these moments of treasure is when sometimes, like, the Instagram filter system is like really weird and random, but sometimes some of my followers' DMs will get through and I will get to read some of them. And I'm sure that I click on the ones that I am meant to read. And some of them are very profound and personal. Like, they will share that, they were in a very dark place, and this show and my character helped them get out of this dark place. Like, sometimes even like suicidal thoughts. That is huge because this is such an unserious show, but then it can have such serious impact on individuals' lives, which I think is like the most beautiful thing that can come from doing a show like this that does cater mostly to younger people.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously not only that, but just, straight up, your character helped me come out to my parents. Like, that is so beautiful to me as well. And I even have, like, not just people I don't know, but my family friend that my family's known for a long time, they had a gay son, and their father and the son never really got along, but ever since they came out, and they watched the show together, which I thought was so beautiful. And I was like, wow, I love that this kind of YA unserious romance comedy show can have such beautiful lasting visceral impact in on people's lives, I don't take that for granted. So I'm so grateful for how people have loved and responded to this show.
That is amazing. It's interesting that you said you had imposter syndrome. And I understand that. I think a lot of women in general have struggled with that. But I hope that through this series and you're finding your footing, so to speak, have you realized the power of storytelling that you have at this point and your platform?
Yeah, I mean, even before I stepped into the screen, I always was drawn to the power of visual storytelling. I mean, not just visual, just books and television and movies, because I was inspired growing up by all these different mediums and outlets.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of the reason why I wanted to be a part of it. And it inspired me to be maybe a writer, a film director, which I still do. And an actor is something I couldn't have thought of when I was younger, because I was definitely not like, I want to be an actor, but here we are. And so I know the feeling of reading a book and crying at this fictional thing that's happening, and it's because it's human, we're feeling something. It's all universal, whether how ridiculously unrealistic the situation is. Sitting in the cinema and watching something that is so far removed from my own reality, but at the core of it is so human, and we all can feel that at a very soul level. I think having experienced these things growing up, I can only hope that the things that I do through my character and storytelling is what, those shows did for me growing up. I was recently actually rewatching some Disney movies, and I didn't realize the impact that these Disney movies had on me until now. I'm looking back at these strong female leads and their voices and their adventures.
Right.
And everything that I wasn't even processing when I was younger, but now it's like, oh, that's why I love that Disney princess or character or female character. So the fact that Exo Kitty can be something like that for someone is huge.
Well, let me just say this. I'm clearly not the demo Exo Kitty, but I love this series. I think the heartbeat of the series is incredibly powerful and positive and needed. You have an incredibly interesting and dynamic background. You were born in Seoul. You grew up in Hong Kong. You lived in New York. You lived in Beijing. Your Mandarin and Chinese is probably much better than mine. If I ever go there, you're going to have to order and just speak for me because I'm using Papago. But you also mentioned you'd only been in this country for 6 years. So can you tell me a little bit about your background? Because you've had such a dynamic upbringing from all these different places, what kind of lens did that give you of the world? And what kind of representation do you have or didn't have?
Right. So definitely my background of jumping back and forth between Korean local schools in Korea and an international school in Hong Kong. And I did go back and forth. So like I did elementary school in Korea, and then I finished elementary school in Hong Kong, and then went to my first Canadian school and then a British school, and then went back to Korean local school in Korea, and then back to Hong Kong where I went to an American system. So I literally went through like a very Korean local education system, Canadian, British, and American, all of them growing up. It's definitely a very unique and interesting upbringing to have gone through so many different education systems of different countries. So,
right.
And I think I gained very positive things, very different things from all of them. And even just being at an international school in Hong Kong, when I look back on it, again, when I was in the thick of it, when I just moved to Hong Kong, my English was not great. It was, it's second language. I was kind of bullied by some girls for my English not being good. So it was like one of those things where I'm like, I was always like this confident girl who had a lot of friends and was comfortable taking up her space in Korea. And then once I went to Hong Kong, and then I was into this international school and my English wasn't great, I kind of shrunk, I guess, looking back. And then I was like scared to kind of be seen or like do something wrong. And I guess my confidence level just dropped in general. And an international school of kids is also very interesting because we're all from all of our respective countries, all living this expat life, which in itself is a bubble and which in itself is a culture, like a expat community in Hong Kong. But even then, I didn't even know the subtle things that were happening. Like the Asian kids would be like the more quiet, nerdy, take up less space, the group of
Right.
people. And then there would be the more outgoing, popular, cool kids table of, mostly I think white girls. And there was this one Korean girl who was like a part of that group. And just because of that, she was like the cool Korean girl. Things like that were happening. And I didn't
Yeah.
even register at the time, like while that was happening. So it's kind of like a weird little globe that we lived in, growing up. And it's so interesting because drama was definitely not a favorite class of mine in school. I remember I hated it actually because my confidence level was so low. I was not comfortable being seen in front of an audience. I really just didn't like the attention that was on me. I was very uncomfortable with it.
It's good that that changed.
Yeah, I know. It's so ironic how distinctly remember my nervousness that I got every time it's drama class. When I look back on it, actually growing up in kindergarten in Korea, I was fine being a performer. I loved it. I loved singing. I grew up singing in the choir. It was a whole thing. But then when you're in a foreign environment and you're the new kid all the time,
It's very
then
hard.
you're going to navigate everything. You just become a different person because you're trying to find your footing. So I think that's what happened. And that's why, again, when I looked at Yuri, I was like, wow, she's like this cool girl in school. And I felt like I wasn't that girl in an international school. In Korea, though, it's a different story because, we're all Korean. There's no oh, your Korean is bad or anything like that. So I was fine. So it's really interesting how that all fed into Yuri, too, because I've never yet seen a character who goes to an international school yet in in a mainstream TV, which I think is really exciting because we are a big community of people too, like Asian kids or just kids in general who went to international schools in a country they're not from. So I thought that was really exciting.
It's just such a human story. And again, in a time where the world is so chaotic, I really appreciate all the different levels that your character is showing, and definitely the series. Now, when you were growing up, what were some of the more challenging experiences that may have been difficult at that time, but it's definitely turned the corner and it's where you found your strength in your voice? Can you share an experience that was really difficult at the time, but you've been able to transform it into something that has been a source of power for you or a grounding force?
Yeah. So I will definitely say in the recent, in my more adulthood life, from 25 onwards, was definitely my move to LA because I say LA broke me and built me back up. And that's why I have a very, a big affection for the city because I really felt like I was broken down, but then I was built back up here. And what I mean by that is, so when I came here, obviously it was to pursue my dreams to become an actor and be a creative. I came here 6 years ago, around right before COVID happened. And, I was just like this wide-eyed, excited student. And I was willing to do whatever it took to make it, whatever that means. And, I didn't want to ask my parents for financial help. So I figured out, okay, if I work here, I'm sure there's places under the table that'll pay me cash. So then I did. And I was happy doing that because I was like, wow, I finally have the freedom to pursue what I want for myself without my parents saying no or somebody saying no. And so that in itself was so fulfilling for me, even though I was like running around like a headless chicken, working in the morning and afternoon. And then my classes were in the evening. So that was kind of like Monday to Friday. And then on weekends, I would work at the places because I can make more tips during the weekends. That was kind of like my life in LA. And then on top of that, I think I was in this kind of crazy, like borderline obsessive phase of like, I need to stretch myself. I need to stretch my limits. I need to test myself. I don't know why, but something took over me because I was like, I'm here for a reason. And so during this time, I also like signed up to do a marathon and I trained for 2 months while I was going to school and working. Like I would train in between and not the weekend.
Were you highly caffeinated at that point?
Oh my God, you would think so.
I'm tired just listening to
I
That's
know.
so crazy. That's so much.
I know. I was like in this phase of like, yeah, let me see how much I can stretch myself before I break. And so
Okay.
I was doing this for 2 months. And then just when the COVID was a thing, the LA Marathon in 2020 was the last big event to happen before everything shut down.
Mhm.
And so I ran the marathon. Looking back, it was not a good idea because obviously I put my body through so much. And when I do that, I also gain a lot of weight because my body's going in shock. Like, what are you doing to yourself? I put myself through a lot. It was kind of like I was searching for ways to, I guess, beat myself down to see how strong I am,
Got it. So you were sort of putting yourself through boot camp. That's a way I would say it.
Yeah. No,
To
literally.
test your bounds, right?
Yes, I was doing that. I guess it was the right time to do it because I'm here in this city for a reason and I wanted to give it my all, which I did. I have no regrets on like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. Like, I think I did the most doing like the first 3-4 years. And then COVID hit. During this whole phase in LA, I also went through like one of the most traumatic things that happened in my adult life, which was and I don't know if I've ever talked about this in any interview. I probably haven't, but
Okay.
because it is also another pivotal moment that made me. During still kind of COVID era, I was walking down downtown Santa Monica, broad daylight. It was Labor Day, so it was a public holiday. There was a lot of people walking around in the streets. And out of nowhere, I was walking with my friend, and out of nowhere, this man fully like swung a punch into my face. And I didn't see it coming, so I literally knocked, like KO'd in the street.
Oh my God, Gia.
And I was bleeding out of my nose. It was, then my friend was shocked. Everyone was like, what's going on? And yeah, it was, I've never, like, it was my first time getting punched in the face, first of all, and by a stranger. It really shook me at a level that I'd never been shaken before.
Of course.
And it was like the first time I felt the wind or life knocked out of me. Like I
Right.
lost all motivation to do anything. I lost my spark. And I'd never felt that before, I guess, to that degree. So I know I was still in acting school and I was like, do I even want to go to school? And I was just kind of, I was defeated.
Understandably. When did it turn though? How did you convert that?
So funnily enough, while I was still processing this anger slash, like what am I even supposed to feel right now? Actually, funnily enough, I didn't feel angry at the perpetrator more than I did at the people who were supposed to help me deal with it, but didn't seem to really care as much to deal with it afterwards.
Do you mean like authorities?
Like the police that came.
Okay, yeah.
They were like, oh, there's not much we can do about it. Which again, I'm like, okay, it's not like some grand larceny, I get it. But I was like angry, but I didn't even know who to be angry at. I was angry at, I guess, the world. And I was like, why did this happen? And I was trying to, because I am and was a firm believer that everything does happen for some reason. And I was like, what is the lesson here? Am I supposed to like learn something? So I was desperately trying to find meaning out of this incident, because without meaning, I feel like it would have been worse. Like it just happened for no reason, then I can't accept that. This must have happened for a reason. And then while this was all happening, funnily enough, okay, so the first time I did start feeling better, I felt a shift. After a week of this happening, I had a driver's license test scheduled. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to go to this. This doesn't matter right now. Right. I was depressed. I was sitting on the couch. I was like, oh, I have to go to this thing. But, I forced myself to go. And I was prepared to fail the test because I was like not in the right headspace. It's okay if I fail. Like I'm going to fail this probably. But then I passed. And that to me gave me this little like, it was kind of like this little starting engine of like, like even when I'm in this state, I can still do something. It kind of like gave me a little bit of my spark back in a weird way. So this driver's license test did that for me.
That's great.
I'm like, oh, I actually did it. Yeah, like this small thing.
Yeah. It's not always the big things, I think, that help us connect those dots. But what did you learn about yourself? First of all, this whole thing is totally fucked up. And I'm so sorry that happened. And I'm so glad to find you in such a better place. But what did you learn about yourself after this?
Yeah. So I think my biggest, I guess the most beautiful thing that came from this horrific incident is I was in this kundalini yoga class one time, and it was my first time there. I didn't know what I was doing, but something was happening. I was doing a lot of breath work. And so at the end of the class, the teacher told us to think of someone to pray for. And I just thought of the guy who punched me. Oh, am I about to pray for this guy? Like, maybe, okay, let's try it. So then I actually prayed for the guy who punched me. And it was like the most profoundly beautiful thing that I experienced, because it was like, I don't know, just to be able to find that I can have compassion for someone who caused me this, like this grieving period. It was really beautiful. And I think that even to this day, I still remember this as not a moment where I was defeated and punched by a man, but it was definitely a moment where it was an incident that made me learn the power of compassion.
So beautiful.
Even for people who you're supposed to hate or, be angry at, actually, compassion can actually overcome a lot more things. I was very thankful for that lesson, and then the teacher also said something in the class, which, she has no idea who I am or what I went through, but something she said resonated, which was, people who go through traumatic incidents go through them so that they can heal themselves and ultimately help other people heal as well. And that's when it clicked for me of, oh my God, there it is. That's why I went through this, is so that I know, like, I experienced what it's like to have to heal myself through something like this. And then ultimately I can help other people do the same thing. So all that is to say, that was one of my biggest kind of transformative experiences that could have just been a traumatic experience. But I think that in my life now, it's definitely turned into a more beautiful, lesson. Yeah.
Very powerful. Very powerful. First and foremost, thank you so much for sharing that with me. That was an incredibly traumatic moment. I'm horrified that happened. Again, I'm so sorry. But here's what I'm hearing also, just for sitting on my side and getting to know you. What I'm seeing is your discovery of the ability and depth of compassion that you have as a person. And you say that you lost your spark, maybe temporarily at that point. I will say that your spark came back tenfold, and it's rooted into something very tangible, if that makes sense. And that's just from what I'm hearing, because from all the different interviews I've read, and trust me, I'm like on Gia overload right now with all of the research I've done. You strike me as someone who is constantly doing the work on yourself in reflection, in trying to find your footing, in trying to grow and trying to make a positive impact. That's how you strike me. And just from the few conversations that we have, I think that there's been evidence of that. So at this point, when you find this power of compassion, even for people that may not deserve it, how do you use it in your everyday life at this point?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you for saying that. That's very sweet.
It really is true, Gia. It's just from what I'm seeing.
Thank you. I mean, I can only try. I'm still trying to, again, I guess it's like striking the fine balance of bettering myself because I think I'm deficient in something or I'm not enough in something, or bettering myself because I love myself and want to evolutionize into a better human being because I love to see me at my full potential. So I feel like there were definitely times when I was operating from this self-hate, self-deprecation, no, I'm not good enough, so I need to do these things and I need to prove myself. But it's like, no, actually, I love the person that I am. And I know that when I'm in this place of loving myself, I can build more beautifully than if I were to berate myself into becoming a better version of myself. So it's been a beautiful journey in transitioning from this to this. And obviously, maybe sometimes I'll defer back to this a little bit, but always like, okay, no, you've been there long enough. Like, let's come over here now. I think because of this huge lesson that I learned through this, not just this incident, but I guess many other things that have happened in my life, as the human side of me is like, as much as I try not to be quick to judge people based on whatever external things that I see, I will sometimes just do it instinctively and then be angry at certain things or people. But then I guess I try to always come back to this place of compassion and remember actually and try to empathize with everybody, no matter how good or bad they are. Obviously, there is such a thing as toxically over-empathizing with somebody, and I've definitely been there before. Just in general, just to know that if I were in their shoes, I would probably be doing and saying the same things. And I can't judge from my place what other people are doing in their place. It just makes me come back to this and kind of reevaluate how I approach other people or see them.
One of the many, many reasons why I wanted to have this conversation with you so badly is because from, again, all the research I've done, I have seen you use your platform and your voice in so many different ways to recognize, to uplift others, to address young people, and to make a positive impact on a spectrum of topics. And I think that has to come from your lived experience. There are times where projects transcend just entertainment. I think you're doing it. But beyond that, I think it's really important just as an individual to be seen as an individual and also to do our parts as private citizens to help others. And I just see that in almost every single outlet that I've watched you on. You have been open and sharing a lot of your own personal journey and growth. Even on your Instagram, you talked about like trying to juggle the chaos to find your grounding. You've been very open about that. Do you not see that that is a strength?
I guess I never really thought about it, but now that you say that, I guess I do. I guess my main motivating factor for that is I'm hoping at least one person who comes across what I write or say will feel less alone or feel better about themselves or where they're at. And I was always a pretty vocal person, but I think even more so now with the platform that I have and the viewers are mostly young girls, I think that I almost feel like a bigger responsibility in a way to utilize whatever I have to be able to do that, and still in a way that balances how I want to say it in a more natural way. But thank you so much for seeing that.
I'm at a point in my life where I just want to recognize good people. I think we're all being seen in way too narrow of a lens. So when I see people that actually lead by example, like yourself, I want to know you and I want to know who you are and those experiences that make you. I think we're living in a world that's so chaotic. And if we had more people like you and voices like you, we'd be in a hell of a different place. That's all I'm going to say. So listen, I'm running out of time. Will you come back and do another one in the future, hopefully?
Yeah, of course.
Will you sign us off? Will you let me
Yes.
know who you are and what you represent?
Yes. I am Gia Kim, and I represent alchemy from 9 to a 10. I don't know if anyone is into numerology at all who's listening, but 9 is obviously the last single number before we go to 10. And so 9 kind of marks the end of a beginning and beginning of an end. It's like the last chapter before we flip on to the next. And I think that it also can represent alchemizing negativity into positivity, alchemizing shadow to light, all of the things that are possible. And I think that I would like to represent that.
A huge thank you to Gia Kim for joining me today, for sharing her journey both on screen as Yuri Han and off. I loved my time with Gia. She's such a thoughtful and lovely person. And beyond her talent, what really stands out is her sense of responsibility, not just to her role, but to her audiences, her fans, and to the impact of her platform. Her compassion and care for others, I think it's something you can feel in everything that she does. I'm going to have Gia's social handles in the show notes so you can follow her and see the incredible work she's doing. Definitely go check out ExoKitty. It's really a great example of the power of storytelling, how a character or a story can actually reach someone that you might never meet and make a difference in their life. If you want to watch my full conversation that I just had with Gia on video, it is available exclusively on Spotify. Clips are on YouTube at Reppin Podcast. And please follow me on Instagram at Reppin_podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share, download, and leave a review. It really helps more people find the show, hear stories that matter, and meet some really incredible people. Reppin is a Suburban Outlaw Productions. Thank you for always listening. Please remember, here on Reppin, we're human first. Until next time, stand up and represent.
I think you're talented. Rough and rugged. Represent.